The chapter opens with a view of footsteps on the snow. We see his blood is smudged over the snow as well. As the scene widens up, we notice a young man sprinting in the snowy forest, breathing heavily. The man is running as fast as he can through the vast snowy forest. "Duck!" he exclaims. "It's so cold. What in the world is happening? And why am I being chased?" he asks in his staggering voice. We see as he has sustained a deep cut to his shoulder, and he seems to be running for his life. The scene expands as we suddenly see an arrow flying, slightly grazing through this unknown person. He has now sustained another wound to his thigh, and so he rolls over, tumbling as he falls to the snowy ground, screaming in agony from the excruciating pain. A warrior sword enters the frame, and as the white dust settles, human figures begin to reveal themselves in the snowy forest. If you're gonna run away, you should do a better job. You make things easier for everyone if you just die obediently. We hear a loud voice in the forest echo to the injured man as he reveals himself and his followers behind. The injured man is then revealed to be Yoo Baek-jun, although the whole reason for the dispute still remains unclear. Yoo Baek-jun begins to express his regrets, referring to a bet he made back then to an unknown figure. The scene fizzles out into a new sequence, where a gaming screen is displayed as it reads the words, "Do you want to make a bet with me?" We then see the face of a human teenager facing the computer. He wonders what is going on, saying that he has never seen anyone trying to make a bet with others in a veteran chat room before. We see that he was able to clear the game with the character named Yoo Baek-jun, though he wonders, where did everyone else go, as he glares at the screen intensely. The game in question is called Hero's Road, a game where gates are connected to another world and monsters flood out of said gates. The modern world is the setting, and we control the hunters that fight these monsters. The game received a lot of attention on its day of release. Despite being a single-player game, it was very popular. However, its popularity was short-lived, as the game's difficulty level was to the extreme. Clearing the game with all the characters was extremely difficult, and the only person who cleared the game with Yoo Baek-jun was the guy in the sweatshirt seated next to his computer. Pretty standard stuff, don't you think? He takes note of a chat room which seems to be new in the game, surprised as he presumed that the game lacked any players at all. As he joins the group, he sees a text, surprised that anyone even remained in the game. And so, since he was the only one left within the game, he then asked him if he would like to make a bet, and it reads, "If you clear the game with the route I propose, I will grant you a wish." I wonder if he'll make me rich and handsome, he says, looking at the text. Though he responds, asking, "What if I fail?" To which he replies, saying that he'll think about it if it comes to that, but encourages the guy to give it a try. He hesitates a bit but shrugs it off, saying that there's no harm in trying, and so he reluctantly accepts the offer. Though suddenly his view becomes distorted and hazy, and he begins to panic. "Why do I feel so dizzy?" he says in his weak tone. We then see the last text from the system saying, "No matter what happens, you chose to do this," as the MC falls to his table, fainting from the dizziness. The scene cuts back to the snowy forest, where the MC wakes up as Yoo Baek-jun, wind blowing in every direction as he looks into the vast forest in confusion. What is this? Where am I? He wonders to his lone self. He takes note of the long, flowing hairs resting on his face. "Has my hair always been this long?" he expresses in confusion, though he suddenly hears footsteps just around the corner, and the scene opens up to the multitude of people staring at the MC. "There you are, Master Baek-jun," he says in a mischievous tone. The MC is shocked as he recognizes the person in front of him to be Shin Woo-yun, one of the players used in the game he played. Am I dreaming? Why am I looking at a game character, he wonders. "Yes, it's me, your master. You said you're gonna train today, right?" Shin Woo-yun says in his mischievous tone. The MC takes note that even his lines from the game are even similar to what he's saying as well. Though the scene takes an unexpected turn as an arrow from one of Shin Woo-yun's men is fired at Yoo Baek-jun. The arrow connects to his shoulder, leaving a deep wound that expunges a lot of blood. Woo-yun expresses his surprise to Baek-jun, saying that he was aiming for his heart but is impressed that Baek-jun somehow managed to dodge the attack, even in his weak body. "I'll kill you here for your sake," Woo-yun says, expressing his intention to discontinue Yoo Baek-jun. The MC is shocked by this turn of events. What the duck is happening, he wonders. A chain of dreadful thoughts spiral through his mind in the moment, but then he comes to the realization that he needs to calm himself, because if he messes up in this state, he will surely die. He analyzes the situation calmly. "It hurts like crazy, and I can feel my blood dripping down my hand. This isn't a dream," he mutters as fear engulfs him. He then remembers the last words from the person he made a deal with. "This is no longer a game, it is going to become reality for you." He concludes in his mind that in this unfortunate turn of events, it seems he has become Yoo Baek-jun. as he glares at the field of hunters standing in front of him. Due to this sudden realization, his thoughts spiral, wondering the first thing Yu Baekjun did when he was in this situation, and so, without haste, he turns his back and runs away as quickly as possible from the situation. A brief silence shrouds the faces of the other hunters, as Shin looks perplexed from this reaction. The story picks up where we left off earlier. We see as Baekjun is crawling on the snowy ground, screaming in pain, blood dripping from the arrow shot which he sustained earlier. The hunters are just behind Baekjun, smiling menacingly as they walk towards him fiercely. "Just a little more," Baekjun mutters. Hunter Woo-yun walks towards Baekjun, expressing that he'll make sure he isn't lonely in the afterlife because he intends to kill off his servants as well to accompany him. "Do you have any last words?" he mutters. Suddenly, one of the hunters takes note that the blizzard has suddenly gotten stronger as he looks at the snow intently. Baekjun takes to his feet slowly as he mutters, "My last words, you ask? Piss off, loser." Woo-yun is taken aback by this response, but then we suddenly see an ice wolf slide into the scene, attempting a fierce attack at Woo-yun. Woo-yun glares at the wolf's sudden attempt at his life. But Woo-yun swiftly cuts through the wolf in a flash as he falls lifeless to the ground. An ice wolf. He wonders if the wolf came due to Baekjun's loud scream from earlier. Suddenly, a pack of wolves came swarming into the space, attacking the men and women who followed Woo-yun into the forest. Woo-yun looks back only to see his members meet their end one by one to the ice wolves. He's disappointed at them for falling so easily to mere wolves, but decides that he'll focus on Baekjun first before he helps them. Just as he turns over to finally end Baekjun, he discovers that he took the opportunity from the sudden disarray in the space to flee from Woo-yun. The scene then cuts back to Yu Baekjun far away from Woo-yun's sight, hiding behind a tree. He attempts to use herbs from the area to stop the bleeding from the wounds. The pain still persists though, leading him to wonder if he may have mixed in the wrong ointments. "Duck, this hurts too much," he says as he sits behind the tree in pain. Suddenly, a glittering status window appears in front of Baekjun, congratulating him on his ability to create a new ointment combination. Baekjun looks at the status window in confusion, reading through its information. Due to the ointment, your injuries will heal, and you will have a high cold tolerance for a short while. Gradually, we see as his injuries begin to heal from the ointment's effects, and Baekjun is stunned at this development. He's gladdened by this as he takes a sigh of relief, glaring up to the skies. He wonders, of all the characters from the game, why Yu Baekjun? The scene then fades out of the snowy forest, gazing into the thoughts of the MC. We're taken to a village hidden in the mountains, the area considered to be the Sword Saint clan, a clan located in Korea's Seorak Mountain. It was founded by a skilled man called the Martial God, who helped to resolve the gate incident that occurred long ago. Although the Martial God disappeared after some time, the Sword Saint clan grew rapidly, thanks to the books he left behind, and situated itself as a reputable clan in Korea. And one of the 5 children who have the rights to succession in that family is Yu Baekjun. "This is so much more difficult than when I played the game," Baekjun says, his thoughts wondering what his next move might be, and so he opens the status window, revealing the stats and current point of his character. The stats are quite shitty, showing that the character is not a promising character just based on the game. The MC is already aware of this though, seeing as he has been playing the game for years. At this level, he's basically a working scarecrow, Baekjun says. He expresses that he was able to buy some time with Shin Woo-yun, but he's not exactly an easy guy, stating that Shin possesses a tracking artifact, and so tracking him will only happen in a matter of time as he attempts to get up slowly. "My abilities are the worst, and I have no items," he says, and so he begins to ponder on what he can do in this situation to survive the Yu Baekjun route which he had accepted. He decides on a plan to go to the Forest of Mazes, stating that there's a way out there for him as he walks through the unending forest. The scene then takes us back to the onslaught with Shin Woo-yun and his party. They were able to discontinue all the ice wolves in sight, standing in the midst of their corpses. Suddenly, light emanates from Woo-yun's chest, and his colleague is able to bring it to his notice, calling it the tracking magic artifact. Woo-yun holds the necklace, determined to find Baekjun at all cost. Though his members expressed their unease of the situation as the necklace pointed towards the Forest of Mazes. Though Woo-yun is unshaken, stating that everyone will need to risk their lives for this. This much is necessary in order to be acknowledged by Yu Terang and receive the position. We then see as Yu Baekjun is running through the snowy forest, gasping for air. In the hero's own world, monsters are humanity's main enemies and are exterminated at the hands of hunters. Depending on the form of the gates and the monsters, the difficulty varies greatly. There are different categories as well for the dungeons in the game, but there is one area that all hunters consider difficult and avoid. We see as Baekjun quickly hides behind a tree as a giant snake is revealed, slithering around the area in the Seorak Mountains. Baekjun is calmly hiding as he attempts to evade the snake. These mountains are already a very difficult area to survive due to the monsters lurking within, and so it's strange as to why Baekjun would even decide to wander through such an unsafe area considering how weak he currently is. The scene then cuts back to the party. Master Shin Woo-hyun is seen walking through the forest with the necklace on his hand, and so the narrative explains that Shin Woo-hyun is the instructor who had taught Yu Baekjun since he was a child, though in this situation he supports the other brothers instead of his student. While those other brothers were gone, he was ordered to kill Yu Baekjun. This led him to bring Yu Baekjun into the snowy mountains to accomplish this task. The MC has to find a way to survive in these snowy fields and return back to his village. Baekjun stares at a tombstone, the entrance to the space where he'll uncover some hidden secrets that can help him progress in the game. After a while, Shin Woo-hyun is also able to arrive at the same tombstone with his party. One of his members once again expresses her fear, saying that countless people have gone into the forest and didn't make it out alive, so why can't they just leave him to perish in the forest? Though Master Shin is adamant, saying that he understands their concerns, but he can't return until he confirms Baekjun's corpse in the forest. He tells them not to worry too much as they possess the artifact, and so they can't get lost. Shin Woo-hyun is bothered by Yu Baekjun's sudden bravery though, and he begins to wonder if he's still the same person who he has always known, or if his body has been taken over by another. Shin takes note of his footprint and deduces that he couldn't have gone too far since the footprint still looks fresh on the ground. He encourages the team to forge ahead as he suspects that they'll find Baekjun soon enough. And so Shin Woo-hyun signals to the party to follow him, and they begin to sprint swiftly through the snow. At this point, they've been running for some time, and so they begin to wonder if they are just running in circles in search of Baekjun. Though Woo-hyun states that this forest is largely known to be a labyrinth forest, and so many people wander around here over 100 times before they finally give up in despair and fall to their end. That's the fundamental nature of this labyrinth, he says. If you don't want to fall here and lose your life, don't let your guard down. Gasping for air, Baekjun continues to run through the forest. I really feel like I'm about to die, he says as he appreciates the effect of the medical herb he used. Though the MC is unsettled as he once again faces the reality that he might not make it out of here. He states that his stamina has reached its limits, though he refuses to back down or give in to the unfortunate situation. It should be around here, he says as he glares into the snowy forest. Lucky enough, he's able to find the area he has been desperately searching for, the end of the labyrinth. Yu Baekjun stands just close to the tip of the cliff at the labyrinth end, staring into the unending darkness before his eyes as he suddenly hears a voice screaming to him menacingly. Yu Baekjun. Turning his gaze to the forest, he sees the men who are after him as well as Shin Woo-hyun standing in their numbers. You ran all the way here, huh? Woo-hyun says, looking at Baekjun with a mischievous smile on his face. After all that running, you run to a cliff, he says. Though it's unfortunate, it seems because the trail has ended for Baekjun. Why are you doing this to me, he says. Did you become Yu Taerang's dog? He cries out at Shin. Hunter Shin affirms this accusation, stating that Yu Taerang's strength is a better fit for him. Suddenly, a heavy aura begins to shroud Baekjun, and he slowly kneels to the ground, grabbing the snow beneath him firmly. It seems that all the damage he has taken this far has started to catch up to him physically. And so Shin Woo-hyun slowly walks up to Baekjun as his aura begins to build around him. He expresses that he would grant Baekjun a quick death to spare him of his current adversity. Baekjun slowly forces the last straw of energy in him, lifting himself up slowly as he says his last words to Woo-hyun, informing him that the necklace around his neck is a single-use totem. Woo-hyun immediately responds with an accurate attack, throwing his sword at the MC in a flash, though Baekjun swiftly leaps over the cliff as he attempts to evade the attack. Although his attempt failed as he unfortunately sustains yet another injury to his torso mid-air as he falls into the dark, unending cliff, bleeding endlessly. I think he's dead, one of the hunters expresses. Woo-hyun hesitates to get his body from the pit, and so he decides to go back to the clan to break the news to his superiors. Though he suddenly discovers that the necklace which had carried him and his party through the forest had suddenly refused to work. This sudden realization sends strings of unease through his body. As he wonders to himself why isn't it activating, the scene widens up as we see more creatures enter the scene, growling in their barbaric demure. I smell human blood, it says. The entire team turns back to confirm the thick voice they had heard, only to notice a group of goblins walking towards them menacingly, and even Woo-hyun is a bit taken aback. The scene pictures back to Baekjun falling off the cliff. He manages to land safely, but he's in excruciating pain. coughing and coughing from the wound he received in his torso. He manages to raise his head up as he takes note of a book floating and glowing just ahead of him. He slowly crawls to the book, gasping for air. Luckily, he manages to grab the book as he falls to the ground, with the book ever slightly seated on the tip of his fingers. A notification pops up in his system. Martial God's book has verified your qualification. Blood relations have been verified. We see as Yu Baekjun is lying on the ground, looking lifeless. Then suddenly his body begins to levitate into the air as a golden aura begins to engulf him. To which the system reads, forcibly awakening dormant martial God's blood using the system. We witness as a newfound energy expands from within Yu Baekjun, sending crackles of light throughout the space. The scene then expresses the last words and testament of the writer of the book as it reads, to the one opening this book, you are likely one of my descendants whom I do not know. During my life, I sought to record all martial techniques in this world, but with my life nearing its end, I now leave behind this book. Even if I die, this book shall continue to record new martial arts that shall appear in this world. Please use it for a just cause. The very air in the room changes to suit the awakened Baekjun, as he's now revealed to be healed of all pre-existing injuries, and is glowing ever brightly as he gazes upwards. A string of notifications appear as Baekjun's system is adjusting to his newfound abilities. Looks like my body recovered, which means it worked, he says with an excited expression. He assesses the new changes added to his system and is pleased. What makes Yu Baekjun's journey so difficult is the way it starts off from such a dire situation, especially seeing as he starts off so weak. But his ability to acquire unique abilities and traits makes the journey all the more manageable and exciting. He has now acquired a unique ability and a new trait as well. The trait increases both the stat growth skill and skill proficiency gain, plus it occasionally unlocks new skills and boosts power. For unique abilities, they're special traits that only a single person can possess, though they can be passed down through training or sharing, and no other person can learn or copy them. So basically, he can learn any skill so long as it exists in this world, though he wonders that it's a little unfortunate that he can't learn magic or alchemy, but shrugs it off anyways, stating that those ones will probably come in due time. After accessing the system and its new traits, he's excited for what's to come for his journey. He then receives a quest to help him in his proficiency with his newly awakened talents, to which he accepts in a rush. Suddenly, the earth reveals a maze-like path just before him, and so he walks into the maze, excited for the future rewards he's expecting from the quest. Anyways, I wonder how Shin Woo-yoon is doing now, as the scene gradually takes us back to the top of the cliff, to which we see that the group of monsters have massacred Shin's party, and in this dire situation, it's only Shin Woo-yoon that remains, as he attempts to hide from them on a tree branch. Though he's quite unlucky, as we then see the Slytherin snake take note of him, and quickly attacks him, swallowing him whole in a single attempt. A traumatizing experience. Taking us back to Yu Baekjun. He's wandering through the maze as he lays out herbs and vegetables in front of him. He's excited as he was able to obtain the items he sought. Next, his gaze goes to a brown box just beside him. The content of the box reveals some items which seem to have been the clear condition for the quest. And so, he receives some rewards through the quest but is notified that the quest completion will lead to the collapse of the dungeon, stating that he'll be taken out of the space indefinitely. Baekjun then equips the rewards, a robe for the martial god, and a small bag used for items. He's looking pretty good in this new getup. Suddenly, he is immediately teleported out of the dungeon by the system. The scene takes us to a decent-looking building, stated to be the Sword Saint's main gate observation post. We see a young boy playing a video game intensely in the house, focused at the screen. Suddenly, a strange figure slips through his window just outside. His focus is disrupted, as he looks back to find out who the man was that is peeping through his window. What? That's Master Yu Baekjun, he exclaims in surprise at his sudden appearance. Baekjun then says to him in a loud tone, "Bring Choi Sungmin here to me immediately." And the scene ends with Baekjun successfully arriving at his inn, a survivor of the unfortunate situation he started out with. The scene resumes deep within the forest. Yu Baekjun is running through the forest in haste, blood dripping all over him, as he seems to be in a dire situation once again. Suddenly, a bright light shines just behind him, what seems to be an arrow that was shot at him by an enemy. Baekjun exclaims, as his blood is smudged all over the ground. We suddenly see as a town building is revealed within the clan. Do you think he will wake up? He has been asleep for 4 days now, an unknown voice says in the background. It's revealed that the just happened scene was only a dream, and we see some men in a library discussing the current predicament. You're being impatient, the elder says. Let's give it some time. The same reveals the physician of the Sword Saint clan, Zhu Zhongwan, who is skeptical that the young master will survive this physical danger. They all stand next to his bed, glaring at him as he sleeps peacefully in his tired state. Baekjun suddenly jolts up from the bed, screaming in fear from the crazy dream we had witnessed earlier. "Young master, you're awake. I'm so glad," they all exclaim, as they see Yu Baekjun finally raise up from his bed. Baekjun is confused as he wonders to himself, "Did I just have a dream within a dream?" But then he immediately rushes over to the window, pushing it open to confirm his current location. "Hiya! Quicker! Faster! Hiya!" The students below yelled with a ferocious spirit as they trained within the clan's wide space. It's a busy view, with everyone discussing amongst themselves as they would normally. The MC is taken aback by this sight. "Where am I?" he says, to which the physician replies that he's in the Sword Saint clan. Then with some emphasis he adds, "It's also your house," as we gaze at the wide mansion of Yu Baekjun in the Sword Saint clan. His face changes with a hint of unease as he realizes that this isn't a dream. The physician asks him if he feels any pain, anywhere, and he replies saying that he feels some pain in his head. The physician then walks off to get some medicine, though Baekjun stops Seungmin from accompanying him, telling him to wait behind. He's taken aback by this and asks if there's anything else he might need. Baekjun then asked a question to his servant, "What day is it today?" He says, to which he replies saying that it's the 15th day of 2035. So suddenly a notification pops up from the system window stating that he cleared the quest and received some rewards. The MC then remembers the entire situation, and it dawns on him that there is no way that this is a dream. "I've just safely returned home," he says. The scene expands and then returns to the room, where Seungmin has prepared a meal and served it to his master. What do I do from here on now? Baekjun ponders while he enjoys his meal. He states that he has arrived back in his house as he wished, but states that his house isn't exactly safe either, because of all the power struggle in the land, where children of powerful clans fight for control over their clan, showing all his elder siblings from first to fourth, and him seated on the fifth, the last child. He believes that it is clear that the first child, Yu Tae-rang, is already going to take over as the successor when the time is ripe, stating that there were actually 3 more siblings, but they were murdered by him due to the succession issue. Why is this even a case in his clan? He wondered. But he concludes that it happens like this because Tae-rang actually enjoys practicing this type of warfare to ensure that he's the successor eventually. In other words, Yu Tae-rang seeks absolute power. This is good, Baekjun notes. Yu Baekjun concludes that in 2 years from now their father will pass on, leaving the successor as Yu Tae-rang, and if he doesn't do anything about it before that time, he'll probably die in his hands. And so, he walks out of the meal table, thanking Seungmin for the meal. Currently, Yu Tae-rang is out to take care of the gate in the Seorak mountain. He will be back in exactly 2 months, he says, and so he takes what he needs and leaves, stating that he needs to become as strong as possible before Yu Tae-rang returns. The family is ruled by power, and so in other words, if I become stronger, I can be acknowledged by the clan. And thankfully, in the Sword Saint clan, there's a lot of medicine, he says as he stares at the entrance to a medical store. Yu Baekjun pushes the door open as he repeats only one phrase in his mind, "I need to become stronger." We see the physician is mixing up some herbs in the medical store, though he was surprised as he heard the young master's voice as he walked into his office space. "Pardon me for entering the medical room without your permission," he says. The protagonist is looking sharp and bright as he glares at the physician. The narrative then reads the last words that the young master expresses from this chapter, saying that the first thing he needs to do, if he wants to become stronger quickly in this route, is to become the physician's disciple. And the chapter closes off with more expectations of what could possibly come next from this very exciting storyline. This is actually a new manhwa called I Became the Successor of the Martial God. I think it's not bad, and I'll definitely be making more episodes as they continue the manhwa series. Thanks for watching. Please leave a like and subscribe to the channel. Do leave a comment for other manhwas you'd like me to comment on, and I'll do just that. Alright, have a lovely day. Or maybe check out this next video on my channel.